overhead kick. What a goal from Ngonge. The scintillating scissor kick to bring Verona level.
Hello and welcome back to Serie A Spotlight. This is episode 102 and we're your hosts Jake
and Matt,
here to cover all the events of Matchday 14 in Serie A. It was a weekend of worldies, brother.
Quite literally, and thankfully Cyril Ngonge came in and made no debate, because where there's a bicycle kick of that nature, we're absolutely sold. But there were some other bangers. Malinovskyi with his second goal in 2 matches with that out-swinging low volley from outside the area.
The technique on that was so good.
Beautiful.
Man.
You see it from the angle from which he shot, like POV
angle. It was outstep, right? The outstep of his boot.
Calhanoglu's
rocket man.
Barella in that
Sottil.
Same game. Sottil, where it hit the crossbar and went in off the post. Lykoggianis with a free kick. Like, a free kick from just outside the area is one of the most difficult free kicks to execute, because you need to get it up and down instantly, and that was perfect.
Yeah. Barella's goal, like he was skiing, his left, right, like my knees collapsed just thinking about that, like Lena said on the Patreon group chat.
Some of the best 3 touches that I've seen in the 6-yard box. Yeah. Pulisic's goal cannot be underrated. Obviously, the Manyan assist, the way he took the ball down, got past his defender and chipped the goalkeeper. Yeah, that was quite lovely.
Goals of the highest caliber. And then you look at 2 goals that were literal mistakes. They were also worldies as well. And Valentin Carboni from Monza, who kind of cross-shot, and the kind of bounce that went into the back of the net. And Brescianini against Milan, against his former club. Milan youth product. He whipped in a ball. No striker got to it, but Manyan was rooted to the spot as he was expecting a striker to touch the ball and ended up in the back of the net. Great goals this weekend, man.
Amazing goals. Literally a weekend of worldies. Don't forget to follow us, guys, on our socials. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Serie A Spotlight. And don't forget to give us a rating wherever you're listening, be it Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, or even YouTube. Rate us 5 stars. Because we want to maintain that 5-star average that we have going on. We're very proud. Very, very proud of that. You don't always have to be honest. Maybe we're not always 5 stars, but you give us 5-star skill moves. FIFA, you know what I mean? Zlatan didn't always have 5-star skill moves.
You still give it to him,
Still give it to him.
It would be cool, guys, if you followed our YouTube, especially if you haven't. It would really support us. Our YouTube's kind of small because we never really focused on it in the past, but to be honest, it's a good place to grow in general.
Yeah,
and it
big
would be
mistake
nice to
from
have.
our end.
It would be nice to have a community as well in the comment section as well. We get a few comments here and there, but it would be cool if some of you guys went on YouTube to write down your thoughts.
Yeah, what was that comment that we got on our last episode on YouTube?
Well, if it ain't my 2 favorite girls.
Here we are,
hey.
brother. Hey, hey, sister. It's your 2 favorite
Love that.
girls.
That made me laugh so much. Your 2 favorite girls.
It's our one and only comment on the video, so it really, really stands out,
Yeah, but before we get cracking, I just want to give a shout out to our patrons. These are the people who keep Serie A Spotlight going. These are the people who keep us motivated and driven to deliver this content consistently. They are Mintoff, Mike, Luca, Alan, Andy, Matthias, Edward, Theo, Lena, Tonna, Anthony, and David Mastrobattista, who I have to say his full name.
Yeah, he's the only one that we shall refer to by full name.
Il Maestro.
The list is getting longer and longer. It's nice to see the family grow.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, naturally, the rundown for all you crazy coos. We're going to start things off with, obviously, the highlight of this weekend, which was Inter away from home, dismantling the champions 3-0 like it's absolutely nothing. What a performance by Inter to start this episode off. Monza 1, Juve 2, some very late drama over there. Monza thought they got a last-minute equalizer, but Juve had a little special something up their sleeve, and it turns out he was a bricklayer just 6 years ago. Milan 3, Frosinone 1, Milan decimated side, but back to winning ways. Torino 3, Atalanta 0 in what was the upset of this weekend, and it happened just last Monday. Sassuolo 1, Roma 2. Sassuolo were doing well, but they did get a red card which shifted the tide towards Roma's favour. Lazio 1, Cagliari 0. Lazio just scraping past the newly promoted side over there. Udinese 3, Verona 3. There's always a lower table match that provides the biggest spectacle of the weekend. This time it's Udinese Verona. Lecce 1, Bologna 1. Bologna finally held, and it took a last-minute goal by Lecce from the penalty spot. Fiorentina 3, Salernitana 0. No problem for Italiano's men over there. And Genoa 1, Empoli 1. It was Malinovskyi's goal, which was cancelled out by Cancelleri's header later on in the match.
All right, that's it. Thank you for listening.
Yes, sir. Now we'll get into the bit of chat over here about the first game that we're going to be covering, which is Napoli 0, Inter 3, brother. So Victor Osimhen was back in the starting 11 after 2 months out due to his thigh injury. But Mario Rui and Oliveira were still injured, so Nathan had to move to left back. Mazzarri also preferred to start Elmas in the midfield over Zielinski. I do believe Zielinski was carrying a bit of a knock, but it's good to change things up a little bit over there, and Elmas is also a quality player. Whereas Inter had Alessandro Bastoni and Benjamin Pavard still injured, which meant that they had to line up with a back three of Darmian, De Vrij and Acerbi. And then we'll see, as you guys will see in the rundown, that early on in the match, this defensive crisis that Inter are having vis-a-vis injuries, not vis-a-vis conceding goals, went from bad to worse due to another injury. The atmosphere was naturally electric coming into this game, brother.
Maradona.
Obviously, it's the Maradona Stadium hosting Inter, where Inter actually had only won 1 out of their last 17 in Serie A at the Maradona, which is absolutely fucking crazy.
Yeah, and especially when you take into consideration the manner with which they won over here. Yeah, you'd think they would have done this more often.
A couple of seasons ago, Napoli won this game 3-1. So the tide shifts so much from season to season in Serie A.
Of course.
At the moment, which is making it so exciting. So surprise starter Elmas took a strike from distance in the 2nd minute, forcing a fantastic save from Sommer, who tipped it around his far post. Thuram had the ball in the net in 12 minutes after a 1-2 with Lautaro Martinez, but he had wandered just inches offside. In the 18th minute, De Vrij sustained a muscle injury, and he was replaced by Carlos Augusto, who filled in at left centre-back. I initially thought that he would go as a left wing-back and DeMarco would go as a left centre-back because he's played there before, but no, Carlos Augusto went straight into left centre-back, and they kept DeMarco as a wing-back, which is probably, well, it was wise considering how they both continued to play. In the 35th minute, Politano had an insane tira-gira which was denied by the woodwork for what would have been an insane goal. It wasn't a bad start by Napoli, actually, man. They had a few attempts, but then on the stroke of halftime, Calhanoglu opened the scoring for Inter through a powerful half volley from just outside, from well outside the area. It was a massive goal for Inter, massive goal for Calhanoglu. He scored 6 goals in Serie A this season, 7 if you count the Champions League. He normally converts them from the spot, but this time, brilliant goal from way outside the area. And just before half-time, which really shifted the momentum in Inter's favour. There was some controversy in the build-up as Lautaro collided with Lobotka. Referee said nothing doing. In hindsight, Luca Marelli actually did say that the referee should have whistled.
Yeah. There were 2 moments of contact, I believe. There was the upper body and the foot collision as well. Again, it's controversial, and I guess it can be interpreted differently by different referees, but yeah, and this time it was allowed to go on.
I don't think that, like a lot of people say, there was obviously contact, the replay shows the contact. I guess it's the significance of the contact that the referee needs to see while the game is going on. VAR, that's what it does. It slows it down. It makes everything significant. This isn't an easy call to make. Perhaps he made the wrong call, but hey, it doesn't affect the outcome. We're here discussing a 3-0 victory, and that was one of the 3 goals. In the 57th minute, Kvara's strike from a tight angle forced a super save once again by Sommer, who pushed it wide for a corner. There were shouts for a penalty in the build-up as Acerbi collided with Osimhen inside the area.
Now, this to me was clear.
It was clear to you.
It was a clear penalty to me.
This is the one Marelli said that was the referee Massa, what's his name?
The referee for this game was Massa.
Yeah. That's one. It's like, no way can he have the same name as the Formula 1 driver, the former Formula 1 driver, but he does. Marelli said Massa made the right call by no whistling.
Now what's Morelli's logic over here, apart from having a really weird surname?
Marelli Madonna is what we say in Maltese when we're freaking out about something.
Very appropriate.
But it's the same. It's the same thing. Like, there's obviously contact. It was Acerbi's leg to the side of Osimhen's shin. Thing is, was it significant enough?
I don't know if was it significant enough or not. I mean, if there's contact with the man before the ball, that's meant to be a penalty. Especially if it's feet. But
in real time, I thought it was a penalty.
Same here, and even slowed down, I thought it was a penalty personally, but apparently Luca Marelli, Madonna, and Massa thought differently, so no problem. I mean, penalty or no penalty, we can never say how the game would have actually gone if it happened, or this is all, hypothetical. So
yeah, it probably would have made a world of a difference because momentum, confidence, so on and so forth. But again, it's the outcome of the game that we're here to discuss.
And the fact that Inter managed to demolish these top sides with so much swagger and grace.
Madonna, man. They doubled their lead, Inter, in the 61st minute through Barella. He received the ball in a very tight space inside the area after a square ball by Lautaro Martinez. With 3 touches, he made quick work of Ostigard and Nathan and had the ball in the bottom corner from very close range. His first goal of the season, and mamma mia, what a goal it was. And a very well-weighted pass by Lautaro Martinez. Over there you see so many players just blindly cunting the ball into the box, but Lautaro, so professional, world-class to be honest. He waited, he picked out his teammate, and brilliant assist by him.
And that's what being on good form gives you. You don't crumble under pressure. You don't think to yourself, I need to get this ball into the box as soon as possible before I lose it, before everyone hates me. There's none of that. Lautaro right now is the GOAT for Inter. You know? He's been on fire. So in that situation there, he had all the confidence in the world to slow it down, look up, find Barella running in, play him the ball, and then Barella had the composure and
Madonna.
It was crazy how he just took the ball and just left, like shifting, like he was skiing, man.
On
and then
Red
placing
Dead,
it into the bottom corner. That was such a good goal, man.
On Red Dead Redemption, when you're like surrounded by people who are trying to kill you, and there's this combination of buttons you could press to slow everything down. But your guy, Deadeye, everyone slows down except for you, so you can shoot 5 people in a split second.
Yeah.
I feel like in this goal, Lautaro and Barella both had a dead eye. Because they just the manner in which they moved, it's like it's in slow motion, particularly like Barella, man.
Alien kind of being, like alien beings playing against humans.
Surreal, like man.
Yeah, it's
absolutely
true. Totally,
surreal.
Bro, I totally get what you're saying.
And then, as if that wasn't enough, in the 84th minute, they sealed the deal, as if it wasn't sealed before. I actually had the audacity to write here that they sealed the deal. Thuram tapped in a low, powerful cross by Cuadrado. This took place after 22 great passes by Inter. It's not like they were just playing the ball around at the back, but they were toying with Napoli. One of the passes was we used to call this a Hollywood pass back in the day, from one side of the pitch all the way to the other flank to Cuadrado, who smashed it in. Thuram finished into the back of the net, took his shirt off in celebration, and he's swinging it in the air like
he was on a cruise and the captain was coming out.
Literally, like it's a party, man. They're taking the piss at this point. Inter, they are so fucking good, man.
They're decimating anyone in their path, as long as it's not Sassuolo, of course. Let's take a look at quickly how they've performed against some of the top teams in Serie A, right?
God.
So we have Matchday 3. They beat Fiorentina 4-0. Matchday 4, they beat Milan 5-1. Matchday 10, they beat Roma 1-0. Matchday 13, granted, okay, they drew to Juve 1-1 away from home. And then match week 14, they beat Napoli away 3-0. So, this is a team that's just on another level at the moment. Especially when they're fully fit, we know what they're capable of doing. Inzaghi has really stepped up as a manager, and his system seems to be pretty much flawless, man. And we saw a little bit of how this could be countered early on in this game against Napoli. I think that Mazzarri double marking the wings really limited them, kind of. Till they eventually managed to break free, because they've got too much quality. Okay, you tightly mark the wings, you're just going to play it to the middle to Calhanoglu, who's just going to rifle it into the back of the net, or Barella or Mkhitaryan. These are all very clever football players. So they have a nice mix of like power, intelligence and technique in their team. And then at the back, they've got experienced players in Darmian, Devraya, Cherby. Those guys are going to hold the fort. They're going to keep it tight. And they're starting to trust Sommer as well. So like, if you want to attack Inter, you're going to have to shoot from a distance, and they don't mind. Sommer doesn't mind that. They trust him, and he's very capable of making these saves.
No, and what a game Sommer had. There's no... I don't think anyone doubted the quality of a goalkeeper he was. All those years at Mönchengladbach, those years at Bayern Munich, what he's done for Switzerland. We know that he commands his area very well. He's good at saving shots from the stop, long distance, everything. He's just such a well-rounded goalkeeper, and finally he's getting to show it. Like you said, Mazzarri, the approach was decent. They double-marked the wings. They did a good job over there, Dumfries and DeMarco. They didn't get a sniff, but they weren't as involved as they typically are. But then you've got Anguissa, Lobotka, Elmas against Barella, Calhanoglu and Mkhitaryan. And over there, that's where Napoli lost the game. Barella, Calhanoglu, Mkhitaryan, the balance in that midfield, the fact that Barella in this game was allowed to go more attacking. Typically, we see Mkhitaryan filling in that more attacking role, but in this game, we really saw Barella getting into that final third in the pocket, and he caused so many problems for Napoli in this game. They won the game. You block our wings? Sure, man. We'll win the game in midfield. Exactly. Like, no problem whatsoever.
And it didn't help, of course, that Napoli had two players out of position. They had Nathan playing as a left back and Elmas playing in the middle, of course. However, there is something going on with Inter right now, a crisis of some sorts, no? Defensive crisis right now. Who was it who fell injured this game?
Devray fell injured, Pavard was already injured, Bastoni was already injured, and during this game, actually, something I didn't mention is that Dumfries fell injured and he was replaced by Quadrado.
Yeah. So it is a bit of a defensive crisis right now. Let's see if they have the depth to deal with it. Another factor that played a part in this game, I think, is the midweek fixture, right? Napoli had Real Madrid, where they went out guns blazing. They played everyone except for Osimhen, basically, and who they brought on, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And they put up a fight, and they still lost, right? Inter, on the other hand, had their Champions League fixture, which they're already through their group, right? Pretty much. So Inzaghi rotated the entire team.
Yeah.
Heavy rotation. We're talking Sanchez, Arnautovic up front. We're talking Frattesi in the middle. Heavy rotation. And they were down 3-0. Eventually they managed to come back 3-3, but that's another story. It's besides the point. Inter were fully rested for this game, and they were fully prepared, while Napoli maybe should have prioritized this game a little bit. They're still going through in the Champions League. There's one more game left. You don't have to beat Real Madrid. You can sacrifice that game. Now, I don't know if this is something that Mazzarri would have considered doing, and then De Laurentiis told him, no, listen, this is our European reputation. I don't want you to tarnish it by just throwing the game against Real Madrid and going out without the players. I want to show the world what we have in our arsenal. But clearly it backfired, because they got smashed by Real Madrid and they got smashed by Inter shortly after. So sometimes you just have to manage these situations better. Like, that's what makes a good coach, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. That's literally it. As well as that, I mean, these players that they have, they're so capable of playing the system that is set out for them. Which really goes to show the unity and the confidence that this team has. What did we used to say about Napoli last year when they were decimating everyone in front of them? The same way Inter are doing it now. It's that everything they are touching is turning to gold, and they've got that swagger. They're in complete stillness when they're playing the game. And at the moment, that's what Inter have. Confidence is a mad, mad thing
Of course, man.
in football. I want to talk a bit about Napoli, not from a performance perspective, because we know they started the game off on the offense. They were actually having quite a bit of success, but unfortunately for them, a couple of decisions didn't go their way, which both could have gone their way on any other day with any other ref, perhaps. They had a few cracks at goal, and Sommer was on top form, but the game went the way it did. But let's see what has led Napoli to this situation. Champions, they fucking murdered everyone last year, head and shoulders above everyone.
Yeah,
everyone.
Except that one time, huh?
Except that one time. Crazy, man. That was 4-0, that was fucking
at the Maradona.
4-0 at the Maradona. But anyway, besides the point. De Laurentiis, he's quite a terrorist, isn't he?
He's an assassin, bro.
He's an assassin.
He is. He can't have nice things.
No.
Because he, especially in a world where other people get credit, I believe. Because he created a team that was one of the strongest teams in Europe. A team that was destroying teams in the Champions League.
They were all on steroids, it was like.
Oh, it was crazy. They were a powerhouse. And Spalletti was a manager who needed to be protected at all costs with what he was doing. And Osimhen, Kvaratskhelia, they were outstanding revelations, and Lobotka as well in the middle was so good, man. Spalletti had this team ticking so well, but then you see Spalletti starts passing. You see De Laurentiis starting to pass comments in the press about like taking jabs at Spalletti about losing to Milan in the Champions League, and then raising ticket prices to piss the fans off. Like right when they're about to win the first Scudetto in I don't know how many years.
Wankstein.
Take care of your team. Take care of your people. Why are you self-sabotaging so much? He's like one of those like white girls, I'm gonna break up with him. And they're like, no, he's perfect. It's like, I know. I'm gonna break up with him. Like, no, dude. Take care of him.
Man, and so he let Spalletti go. Probably, shocker, his ego is way too high to keep someone that's getting all the praise. He's probably thinking, look, I've got 2 world-class forwards. I've got a perfect metronome in Lobotka. I've got Kvar, I've got Osimhen. We don't need a top manager. We're world-class.
Yeah.
He let him go. At a point, there was interest to employ Thiago Motta.
Yeah.
And they were close. They were discussing with Thiago Motta, and Thiago Motta asked who's going to be the sporting director of this team. De Laurentiis is like, who needs a sporting director? I'm here.
I'm the guy.
Motta, who is smart enough to smell and call bullshit, was like, I'm good with Bologna. Yeah. Thank you for the offer. So what does he do? He's like, okay, fine. I'm just going to find someone that plays a 4-3-3.
Yeah,
right?
An offensive brand of 4-3-3, right?
For some reason, he opts for someone who was just coaching in Saudi Arabia. He does that. He brings him to Serie A, one of the best leagues in the world, straight from Saudi Arabia. Sure, he's got experience, this and that, but you don't bring Rudi Garcia straight.
I mean, it's not even about the personnel, in my opinion, because Rudi Garcia has had success in his career at Marseille and at Roma. He was okay at times. It's just the fact that there was no need to get rid of the man he had, because that he was perfect. He was perfect,
exactly.
And was sticking.
But at least adequately replace him if you're gonna do that. Have something either better lined up or an investment for the future, as Motta would have been.
No, they ended up with Walter Mazzarri again.
Exactly.
Now granted, he's loved in Naples, but obviously there's a step down.
I mean, absolutely.
And now Roma, sorry, I interrupted you. Now Roma are in contention for top 4 as well, and it's not even a guarantee for Napoli. The defending champions aren't even guaranteed Champions League football next season. This is kind of like a repeat of what happened with Milan, but it's all because of the management.
Absolutely. And that is what I have to say about Napoli, because you look at their system, to be completely honest, they're not even bad. They are a great team, Napoli. They just got absolutely outplayed over here, but it feels like the entire system above them is working against them. And this is, if you are the owner of Napoli, you must share the values of the city. And the values of the city are, they take absolutely top priority. It is football for the people. You look after your people. You don't fucking put ticket prices up when you're about to win your first Scudetto in 30 odd years.
Yeah, bro, definitely. But anyway, obviously it's not all negative for Napoli. It's still early days for Walter Mazzarri, of course. Defensively, they had been looking sharper. Granted, they did concede and they had to kind of answer back, and they just kept getting clapped back by Inter.
I mean, he didn't even replace Kim, bro. He didn't even replace Kim.
No, he brought Nathan.
So he brought Nathan. He brought in an 18, 19-year-old. They kept Ostegard. Like, it's fine. We've got Nathan and Ostegard. Yeah. We're the champions of Italy. We've got Ostegard and Nathan.
Just out of fear of spreading misinformation, he's 22, Nathan. But still very young, and your point stands.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but notice, bro, that when Lautaro Martinez was celebrating when he was celebrating the victory, because he didn't even score this game, actually, weird, funnily enough. His sleeve went down a little bit to reveal a tattoo, right?
Yeah.
And all I could see was life you love, and right beneath it, life you live, which I'm like, no way he has that.
It can't be.
I googled it, so if you look up my search history right now on my phone, it's like Lautaro Martinez shirtless, Lautaro Martinez tattoo, Lautaro Martinez arms. It's like, all right, sus. His tattoo says, live the life you love the life you live. So we're going to suggest a few more for him, naturally, right, bro?
Shall you read out all yours and I read out all mine?
I think we should do one each, bro.
Okay.
And then if we have any more left over, we'll go, all right? So I have live, love, laugh. I think you should get next.
That's a good one. A good one. I've got fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That'd be a good one.
That's a good one. Live every moment, laugh every day, love always.
Beautiful. Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken.
Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
She sells seashells on the seashore.
Your jealousy is my energy.
You can't judge a book by its cover.
Live to love, love to live.
The grass is always greener on the other side.
One life, one love.
Where there is desire, there is gonna be a flame. Where there is a flame, someone's bound to get burned. But just because it burns doesn't mean you're gonna die. You gotta get up and try.
So we sincerely hope that Lautaro Martinez takes our recommendations and gets one of these fantastic quotes tattooed on his body along with his already fantastic quote.
He should get that as a prize to himself for being inevitably the capocannoniere this year. Inter are first on 35 points, Napoli fifth on 24 points.
Alright, let's jump to Juve, bro. Juve faced Monza away from home, and Allegri did the classic Allegri thing, right? Where he had a slender victory and he tried to hold it for late, and then there was a massive heart attack at the end, and they managed to recover miraculously, okay? But let's go through this game because there's quite a lot to unpack over here. So Monza actually started this game without a striker, opting for a dynamic front line of Machine, Colpani, and Churia.
Fucking hell.
Yeah,
man.
Brave dude.
Very
Paladino's
brave.
a brave man. Alexandro, Cambiaso, and Nicolucci, along with Vlahovic, start. Nice to see Allegri giving Nicolucci another shot, despite Locatelli being better.
Yeah.
He's recovered, Locatelli, but he's still playing Nicolucci because he's actually been pretty decent.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes into the game, Kyriakopoulos pulled Cambiaso in the box and the penalty was awarded. Vlahovic stepped up to take the penalty with another 5 celebrations in his pocket. He went left, but so did Di Gregorio, pulling off an emphatic save and then springing to life for the rebound as Vlahovic bounce-shotted back on target and Di Gregorio sprung out of nowhere to make a fantastic double save.
Beautiful.
All his teammates were around him, celebrating him. That was a fantastic double save by Di Gregorio, who is I believe this season's Vicario in Italy. He is the next goalkeeper to grab. He's the next goalkeeping bargain. And I do have a talking point about Manyan asking for 8 million a season, when you could get someone for Di Gregorio and probably pay him 2 or 3 million a season. But
you can stick those 8 million up your ass. You can stick those 8 million up your ass.
Yeah, no chance. That's a luxury salary for a goalkeeper. That's a team that's a price that City or PSG afford to pay a goalkeeper. But anyway. Right after this fantastic double save, Nicolosi took the corner and Rabiot fucking towered over everyone, particularly Gagliardini, and headed it home right after the action, which shows a nice. It's a very positive sign for Juventus to fail like that and to take a hit, like missing a penalty and then missing an open goal and to convert the corner right after.
That's a theme in this game for Juve.
It is. Actually. It totally is never giving up and reacting and being proactive, right?
Never giving up is another good shout for Lautaro Martinez.
Yeah. Fantastic. Never don't give up. But yes, Nicolosi got the assist actually for taking the corner. Good goal by Rabiot. And then, of course, Juve kind of slowed down the tempo, dominated the game a little bit until the 91st minute where Valentin Carboni came on. The man we hailed in the question segment of the previous episode, the 18-year-old defender who's got some nifty feet. He whipped in a cross shot.
Do you pay to see those?
OnlyFans. He whipped in a cross shot, which wasn't struck by the striker. I believe Colombo had come on at this point, and the ball found its way into the back of the net. And as the ball entered the back of the net, you see Gagliardini, who had been marking Rabiot on Rabiot's goal, run up to Rabiot and like shout something in his face. And you can clearly see this on TV. Like Gagliardini's talking shit to Rabiot right after this equalizer. So Juve kick off right after, right? It's like the fucking 92nd minute, 93rd minute. Rabiot gets the ball and he just drives forward. You can tell he is pissed off. Yep. He's fuming. All he's thinking right now is like, I hate Gagliardini. I hate Gagliardini. He's charging forward. Like, dude, he was a horse. He pushed forward. He set up Gatti. Gatti, God bless him, missed the ball first time. He's lucky it just bounced up into place. Like, basically, it was like, try again. Like, the ball he turned again. Like, literally, right? If you had to tell me this guy was a bricklayer 5 years ago, not surprised. He turned again and just rifled into the back of the net.
What a guy, though, man.
Full power, and then just ran straight to the Juve fans. Like, what a moment that was.
What a guy Gatti did earlier this year. Like, he was the talk of the town for sticking out like a sore thumb in that Juve defense, especially after that own goal he scored against Sassuolo earlier on the season. Since then, he scored 2 goals, this one being in the last minute. He's living the life right now, man. He's one of the best Italian centre-backs in the league.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. He's doing a very good job, and his rise to the top couldn't have been handled with more, maybe not grace, but he's doing a great job, man. You can tell the guy's driven, he's motivated, he's got a top fucking mentality, like, and you can tell his teammates love him as well.
What do you make of this Gagliardini shit?
So yes, after the game, Rabiot took to Twitter, or took to Instagram, sorry, on his Instagram story, and posted a screenshot of Gagliardini screaming in his face and wrote down something along the lines of, the game is 90 minutes long, you shouldn't celebrate until the game is over, be smart, and then like a finger pointing to a brain, like the emojis. Gagliardini, a day later, took him 24 hours of thinking, replied saying something along the lines of, what happens on the pitch stays on the pitch, go cry to your mother. Yeah, and I thought that was pretty cool. I love when footballers are so vocal about like their resentments and their beef.
Just be like Gagliardini, you know what I'm saying? Obviously joking, like, so I'm fine with the shithousery. I'm on the pitch. I'm okay. I'm not too fussed about, like, there was the equalizer. He screamed in Rabiot's face. Now, is it smart? Is it ethical? No, but like one of my favorite games of football that I've seen in the last year was the Netherlands against Argentina.
Oh my
full of
God,
shit
what a game.
houses, talking shit to each other. Naturally, I prefer the more stoic approach to footballers. There's this particular match, I believe, between United and Bayern Munich back in the day where Ruud van Nistelrooy misses a penalty and Oliver Kahn screams in his face, takes the piss out of him, and like 10 minutes later Ruud van Nistelrooy scores a goal and he does nothing about it. He just goes, does his own thing, celebrates, at the end of the game shook his hand and moved on. That's the idea.
I mean,
but a bit of shithousery,
being,
fuck it.
That's being a big man, eh? But and Van Nistelrooy, to be honest, didn't need to care about what anyone thought because he was fucking brilliant.
Fucking Ruud van Nistelrooy.
He's Ruud van Nistelrooy. Like, but dude, when it comes to football is a sport. Sports are competitive, man.
Yeah.
It's. I love seeing this shit. I love seeing like Gagliardini running up to Rabiot and screaming his head because that means it matters for them. And then in an age where transfer fees have become so abstract, they're so high. Like
everyone's playing football in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, value has been lost, and you hear players saying like moving to Saudi Arabia, exactly like sacrificing like Kante in his prime or Milinkovic-Savic in his prime. Like these guys, like. You can tell for them it might just be a job at the end of the day, but it is nice to see that for some people it means so much, man.
Yeah.
And that is what I love about Serie A, and that's what I've always loved. It feels authentic. There's a lot of shithousery. There's a lot of trash talking, especially look at Serie B, man. These guys are constantly shouting in each other's faces and calling each other off. During COVID, when there were no fans, you could hear it, man. They're constantly talking shit. The competitive spirit is high, and I love.
That's what I love to see.
If those people are willing to die on that pitch, then it's going to make an entertaining game for everyone.
But then, if you're Gagliardini, you do that to Rabiot, and 2 minutes later, Rabiot assists the winner for Juve. Yeah. If you're Gagliardini, give Rabiot his moment. Let him post on social media. Understand that you fucked up. Don't go after here saying go cry to your mother. Fuck off.
But I do kind of agree that what happens in the moment happened in the moment. You know, I mean, when you're on the pitch, it's not a normal situation. You've got tens of thousands of people screaming your name. You're pumped up on adrenaline. You know, you're so hyped, like you're ready to go. Like, you know, just because you scream in someone's face doesn't mean that. Like, you should understand that that's part of the game. Going home and posting on Instagram about it, playing the
Gagliardini's response is inexcusable. Gagliardini's response is inexcusable.
Showed us that he's a
fucking big baby.
He's not the most mature person in the world. But neither is Rabiot.
Why?
Because you don't take it to social media.
Why the fuck not, man?
What's the point? Why? What did he achieve out of it? He just took...
He got his big dick moment. We give him his big dick moment.
I thought he got his big dick moment when he charged forward, destroying everyone, crossing into the box to get the winner.
Let him milk it, man. It's fine. Fucking, we're the first ones to parade about Leao being a bit of a shithouse on social media. He took it to social media.
It's entertaining, but you know, if Gagliardini is inexcusable, then so is Rabiot's action. I think that the fact that Rabiot posted on social media warranted a response.
I disagree.
Okay, fair enough.
I disagree.
Fair enough. Now we arm wrestle, so we see who's right. Rabiot was wearing the captain's armband as well, as if it can't get any better for this guy. Because Danilo,
he had sex that night for sure.
For sure. Danilo was unavailable, so he's been made the vice captain, and Rabiot right now is a top tier midfielder.
Yeah, just a very complete midfielder as well. The fact that he can give that assist, he can win the ball back, he can dribble, he can score a header. You know what I mean? He's everywhere, man.
Two more things before we move on, bro. Is that I don't know if you caught a glimpse of Max Allegri this game.
I probably did, but...
Dude, so there was a torrential storm this game. It was fucking pissing from the sky. Like, it's pissing water
I was watching this game at dinner, so I didn't catch the exact details.
It was... Don't worry, I prepared a picture to show you. For some reason, Allegri decided to wear a woolen beanie in the rain. Can you imagine how uncomfortable that must be?
That's the worst decision he ever made in history.
Like, wear a hood. What are you doing? Look at this, bro. Like... He's drenched. Look at this jacket. He's
Oh
drenched,
my
man. He's
God.
absolutely drenched.
He's such a funny guy,
He's a
Alec.
funny
And I don't
guy.
mean like great sense of humor, just the way he operates. It's like he's an alien trying to figure the world out.
Yeah, definitely. So Locatelli's recovering from a broken rib, and this game he tried
Broken? I thought it was a bruised rib. Jesus.
I think it was broken. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this, but his rib. He had a meme on his rib.
He had an ouchie on his rib.
Exactly. Thank you. And he was warming up, and in the end, Danilo ended up coming on in midfield instead of Locatelli coming on. Because I can assume that warming up in that rain with a rib injury and must have felt fucking terrible. No. But yeah, that's basically it.
Bro, did Locatelli get pissed off about it? Or?
No, nothing.
Okay.
It's just that he was trying to warm up, and you can tell he was uncomfortable. I don't know if it's because it was raining or because of his rib. He looked to be in some discomfort because of his chest. I assume it was his rib. And in the end, Danilo came on in midfield, and I thought that was interesting. But he's so versatile, Danilo. You can pretty much pop him anywhere.
Rib injuries do tend to linger, so
Yeah.
that could very much be the case. What did you make of fucking Monza's decision to start Churia up top? Like, what was that about?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you, bro. I can see the appeal. Like, I can see the logic in not starting a proper number 9 when you take a look at what they're facing. Maybe in Bremer, Gatti, and Sandro at the back. Maybe they thought that it would be easier to pass around them than to just whip it in and try to win the aerial duel. You know what I mean? Juve are quite a physical team, and they're very tight and difficult to unpack. So I don't know if maybe they wanted to get them on the break, or if they wanted to kind of take a more dynamic approach, passing it around to try to attack them. I did think it was a little bit strange, but Churia had a pretty good game, to be honest.
He had a decent game. He had a decent game. Just surprised, like, Colombo's on great form. And you come up against Juve, you want your best players, no?
It could also be to save him as a late weapon, because he did come on, and there was a lot of focus on him when he came on later on in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was most certainly a weird thing. As to where they stand in the table, Juventus are second with 33 points, 2 points behind league leaders Inter, while Monza are in 11th. Torino have overtaken them by 1 point, and Monza are on 18 points.
Let's jump to Milan 3, Frosinone 1. Giroud was still suspended for Milan. Ciao, Leao, Kalulu, Kier, Pellegrino, Caldara, Okafor, and Sportiello all injured. All of them. Theo started as a makeshift centre-back.
And apparently it was his idea.
It was Theo's idea.
Yeah.
Look, what did Suma say once? Paolo Maldini. You remember that?
Yes.
The Paolo Maldini comparisons.
No, I think it was the coup of Paolo Maldini, kind of like picking him up in Ibiza and all that, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, maybe Theo fancies himself as a bit of a Paolo Maldini, starting left back, and you know what? Toss me in centre back as well. Fuck it, maybe he'll mature into a decent centre back as well. He had a very good game over there.
Look at his heat map; he basically covered both positions.
Yeah. Florenzi started at left back. Jovic started up top since Giroud was still suspended. Pulisic was on the left, Chukwueze on the right. The Canarini missed. There's a tough one to pronounce. Sufyan Bidwi, he was out injured. So was Lirola, Markizza, Harrui, and Mazzitelli. None of them were 100%. Milan obviously coming off a devastating Champions League loss against Dortmund. But Chukwueze did get his first goal for Milan over there, so at least the right-hand side was brimming with confidence. The match started with, let's say, limited excitement. Kind of both teams were struggling to create these clear-cut chances. At a point, Tomori fucked up. Now, Tomori's been insane recently, but he fucked up at a point, and Marvin Cooney was clean through on goal, but he tried to chip Manyan.
Terrible decision.
Clean through on goal. Very, very bad decision, and Magic Mike stopped that, no problem at all. Milan took the lead on the counter-attack. Chukwueze's cross was cleared by Simone Romagnoli, but that clearance only went as far as Luka Jovic, who volleyed in from 8 yards out. That was Jovic's first goal in a Milan jersey. Recently, he got his first shot on target. He got a good header on target against Borussia Dortmund.
I think that was the turning point, that Dortmund game, man.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think so. He looked solid in this game, Lykoggianis.
He looked present for once. You know?
Yeah,
like
involved, man. Involved.
Yeah, usually the game passes by him. I feel like exactly he was involved this time.
Yeah. Pulisic doubled Milan's lead with a spectacular goal early in the second half. It was a long ball by Maignan, which was controlled by Pulisic, who skillfully guided the ball into the near top corner with 2 defenders on the line. Brilliant assist by Mike, obviously. I believe he did that last season and the season before as well. So, Mike Maignan, the quarterback. Tomori added a third goal for Milan, tapping in from close range after Jovic nodded the ball back in from the byline. That's a goal and an assist for Lykoggianis, and a well-deserved goal by Tomori, who, as I said recently, has been on fine form. But no one talks about it, but when he's not playing that well, it's the first thing Milan fans talk about. But he's been excellent recently, Tomori. Back to his
when
best.
He's on form, he's one of the best recovery centre backs out there, I think. Despite his mistake this game, but yeah, he's the last man standing in defence right now, and he managed to actually get a goal, which is quite funny.
Yeah, and 2 great recovering centre backs over there in obviously Theo Hernandez and Tomori, some great pace. Brescianini got a consolation goal for Frosinone, making it 3-1 from an in-swinging cross from a free kick, which no one touched, not even Mike Maignan, and it went into the bottom corner. To add to the celebrations for Milan, because a 3-1 victory over Frosinone in today's day and age, maybe it requires some celebration, Ismail Ben Nasser returned to the field. Ben Nasser, who is, in case anyone has forgotten, one of the best, if not the best, number 6s in the league. Just an absolute metronome.
So much fun to watch.
Definitely.
I think it's between him and Lobotka.
Yeah, before there was Brozo, nowadays we have to talk about Calhanoglu as well.
Those 3 guys are unmatched.
And the thing is, the importance of Ben Nasser for Milan is, you look at Milan's midfield 3, and it's typically, they're all new. You look at over here, there's Musa, Reinders, Loftus-Cheek. Pop Ben Nasser there. And he, someone that understands Pioli's system to a T. Someone that can control the tempo of the game. Reinders is good as a box-to-box. Loftus, great as a box-to-box. Over there, we're looking at 3 box-to-box midfielders. Musa, Reinders, Loftus-Cheek. Ben Nasser comes back in after AFCON now, but he might not go to AFCON. He'll bring so much.
It's massive. It's a massive,
huge,
and it almost caught me by surprise when I saw him coming on, because I'd forgotten. I'd forgotten that was even an option, having Ben Nasser.
Yeah,
Ben Nasser is
Djokovic forgot he existed.
Djokovic, by the way, the fake ass Milan fan, didn't even recognize him. He was talking to Leao, high-fiving Leao. Ben Nasser,
so disappointing.
He was standing right next to him, Ben Nasser. He didn't even recognize him. He didn't even know who he was. He didn't even look at him. Like,
the bastard.
Damn. But anyway, Ben Nasser for me is a pivotal part of Milan, and this is massive. Him coming back means that Milan will have more control. The tempo will be more Milan-oriented in these games, and everything goes through Ben Nasser. So that's great to have him back. I can't help but notice, bro, that when Milan attack, they do this thing that I dislike, where they create an offensive line of 5 with someone sitting off the shoulder of Jovic in an attempt to kind of like, I don't know if it's to like play a cheeky 1-2 with him or something. And then you have like 1 guy or 2 guys in midfield driving forward, and then in front of them 5 in attack, a straight line of 5 players. Like, how are you meant to do anything like that? How are you meant to build the play up? What exactly is the plan there? I don't quite understand it.
I don't get it as well, because when there are those 5 players running forward, it's typically the winger that sprints up along with the 5 players, then slows down in the final third.
And they just stand
everyone's
there.
like lost, just standing there.
There's no movement.
And also another thing, Sami Chukwueze, most of the attacks are going down Pulisic's side. Now, Pulisic out-swingers, in-swingers, they're there. Now, sometimes they're not precise, and sometimes Jovic can't quite get to them. Chukwueze, brother, get into the far post. Attack, man. What the hell? Yeah. Get in there. There were 2-3 occasions where he could have gotten into that far post and smacked the ball in.
He's still adapting. He hasn't quite hit the ground.
Still adapting, but yes, but then there are also, like, to me, there's common sense as well. Yes, it's like Milan play with one striker. It's not like Lautaro misses it, so fucking Thuram is there, or Dybala misses it and Big Rom is there. You need your wingers to get more involved. Yeah. That's why Milan went for an attacking winger like Chukwueze rather than having a Junior Messias or a Salamakers that were more industrious, so to say.
I must say, bro, that I was... You are right. You are right that Chukwueze should be attacking the far post. I must say that I was not expecting this from Jovic.
The good performance.
The good performance, because this game, man, he... Don't only look at the goal and the assist, look at what was happening around him. Jovic occupied quite a few players, and he freed up a lot of space for Chukwueze and Pulisic.
Yeah.
And his movement of the ball was actually pretty good, man. And yeah, I'm his biggest critic. I'm not a big fan of his play style. I don't think that he has any particular strengths. If he's not moving well off the ball, then he doesn't offer much apart from being a poacher in the box, because he doesn't have enough size to beat his man in the air, he doesn't have enough speed to beat his man on a foot race, so it's all about his intelligent movement, and he has to have that nailed to perfection for him to play well, for him to be effective, rather.
Yeah.
And this game he was super effective. Now, don't say, it's against Frosinone, whatever, because Frosinone right now have proven to be a thorn in the side of many teams, and I'm impressed by Jovic this game. And thankfully he stepped up, because with Giroud injured, if it's not Jovic, then it's going to have to be a 15-year-old boy.
Yeah, and you know what, man? Sometimes before you get a goal against Roma, Inter, Napoli, or any of these guys, you need a goal against Frosinone. That's steps to success, no?
Yeah.
And he has struggled. Yes, Frosinone's defense, to be honest,
was a bit suspect.
Frosinone's defense. The mishit clearance of Romagnoli, the failure to do anything about Mike Maignan long ball. Frosinone's defense isn't their strong suit. They typically defend by attacking and by bringing pressure high up the field. But like I said, you need a goal against Frosinone before you could grab one against the top 7 or the top 10 for that matter. Really impressed by Jovic's performance. Again, as well, same as you, his harshest critic. But if he can bring it, let him bring it. If he brings it, if you perform in a Milan shirt, as a Milan fan, I'm your number one fan. It doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, where you're from. If you perform in a Milan kit and you're humble and you're hardworking, I'm your number one fan. So Jovic, keep it up.
A good thing, well, a funny thing that came out is that Jovic spent longer in training now. He trained extra. He's motivated. Like, that's what it took, a goal. You should be training extra when you're not scoring, not when you score.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting. It's always good that obviously he's training extra and whatever. I just find these news headlines really funny.
Keep in mind, whilst we also shat on him when he was at Fiorentina last year, keep in mind his record in Europe was good for Fiorentina. Fiorentina Conference League finalists.
Yes, I mean... Yes,
and he was Fair. Involved and he was scoring over there.
Fair.
We know what he did at Frankfurt. This is the thing. There's something in that guy. There's something we know he's capable. Yeah. But for some reason, I've never watched him do it, bro. I've never watched him do it.
He was doing it in Germany and in the Champions League against Real Madrid. He had Rebic celebrating before he even shot.
Yeah.
You know, he was a killer that season.
He was Haaland that year, like.
He was really good. In fact, he earned a move to Real Madrid. He moved too early to a big club, to be honest. That's what happened.
Yeah.
But then watching him at Fiorentina, I was just like, this guy's dead. You know, I was like, this guy's, But it's nice to see that he actually still has some things left to offer, of course, and that maybe he's not as dead as Jake thought he was.
Maybe.
I do think that his goal needed quite a bit of technique to execute as well. It wasn't as straightforward as it looked.
Yes, he had time, but there was one precise area he had to hit the ball because there were two people essentially blocking. There was the goalkeeper and two defenders in front of him, and for him to volley it through all of them, it was a good finish. Keep in mind he also got the assist, and keep in mind, like you said, it wasn't just his goal and assist, but his work throughout the game as well.
Yeah.
Milan in third on 29 points. They're, to be honest, just 4 points behind Juve, 6 points behind Inter, and they are now 5 points ahead of Roma and Napoli. So it's not like Inter and Juve are cut above the rest. This is still a very, very tight competition. Frosinone in 12th on 18 points, level with Monza.
Very good. We can move on to Atalanta, to be honest, bro, who took on Torino away
Oh
from
my
home.
god.
Yeah, this was a Monday night treat.
Oh my god.
Torino 3, Atalanta 0. If you watched the game in black and white, you would have thought Torino were Atalanta.
Literally.
In fact, when it comes to Torino's lineup, quite a few changes over here. Vanya Milinkovic-Savic set back in goal after their goalkeeper in the previous round decided to run out of the box, and Lord knows what he was thinking. Tameze was one of the three centre backs with Bongiorno and Ricardo Rodriguez. Bellanova was out on the right, Voivoda out on the left, Linetti and Ilic in the middle. I'm reading this because the Torino lineup changes quite a lot.
Yeah.
Vlasic was playing behind the strikers who were Sanabria and the ex-Atalanta striker Duvan Zapata. Now please note, Duvan Zapata is Atalanta's all-time highest goal scorer in Serie A, right?
Also,
Playing for Torino now.
I am happy to see these guys starting alongside each other because I didn't think we were going to see that. By the way, Juric was lining the team up earlier.
Right? Yeah, I do agree with that. For Atalanta, it's quite a depleted side. Their defense is gone, and Scamacca is also injured. So they lined up with a 3-4-2-1 formation with Jim City, Darun, and Scalvini at the back. Ruggieri and Hatteber on the wings with the usual centre midfield partnership of Coop Miners and Ederson. But this time it was Lukman and Miranchuk playing behind Charles De Ketelare up front. It did not go well, man.
Nope.
It didn't go well at all. And in the 19th minute, Jim City got injured. So they had to bring on Bakker. And Bakker had to play in defence because of his size. But he can't quite defend. Yeah, he can't quite defend, can he? And it was very clear from the start when Vlasic squared it to Zapata. And when the ball is squared to Zapata, it happened twice this game. He doesn't just shoot. It's like he can control the ball, pull out a mocha pot, pack it, fucking put it on, have his coffee, and then shoot. Like, they gave him so much time, man. Yeah. And he did it twice, you know. So first he scored in the 22nd minute. Of course, he didn't celebrate, whatever. And then in the 54th minute, Scalvini decided to pull Bongiorno to the ground in the box, and they were awarded a penalty. Torino, of course.
Two boys fighting.
Antonio Sanabria stepped up and sent the goalkeeper the wrong way to make it 2-0. And then, of course, while Atalanta were pushing and trying to find the winner through Pasalic and De Ketelare was trying as well. Duvan Zapata scored again. He was squared the ball by Vlasic, and this time he took really long to shoot.
Yep.
He took a touch, took another touch, looked around, fucking whistled at one of the girls in the stands, like, and then shot. 95th minute, 3-0. A few things to mention about this game. Charles De Ketelare is very wasteful. Very wasteful. And you see him at some points. He gets the ball. He like skips a man, you know, passes the ball around, and he goes to play the ball on the wing, but he plays it back, and the defender has to run all the way back to pick the ball up. Like it's like his confidence is fading again, man, and that's a red flag in a player when you're so moody with your confidence, when you've got high highs and low lows so consistently. It's a serious red flag in my opinion.
And I mean, we were out here obviously campaigning for De Ketelare, but hoping he could find better form at Atalanta than he did at Milan. And there were times where he showed more promise. For fuck's sake, he even got a goal for Atalanta. You know what I mean? Something he didn't manage with Milan all season. But he still really, really hasn't shown us much, man. He still really hasn't shown us much. And
He needs time, man.
he's still raw talent, you know. He's still so. You watch him play, and you think he's the youngster by a landslide. You think he's a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old, like.
It's true. And this is a guy who was making Champions League Team of the Weeks 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, man.
So it's not going well for him at all at the moment. And particularly this game, he did miss a sitter in the 28th minute, 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, and he did mess up a few simple things as well. But yeah, this is a serious crisis for Atalanta. I wonder what Gasperini is gonna do, because playing 3 at the back requires you to have 3 centre backs, of course. And when you're missing many players, they've got one standing right now in Scalvini. We'll see. And he had a terrible game, Scalvini. I've never seen him play this badly.
No, same. And I thought he was rubbish in this game. He had a rubbish performance, but look at the players around him. Like, Deron, you can't deny how good and how important Deron is for Atalanta. It's the same thing we say about Lobotka, about Ben Nasser, and the same thing we say about Calhanoglu nowadays at Inter. That's what Deron is for Atalanta. But centre back, you know what I mean? Sure, his standing tackle is okay, he's industrious, but he's not a centre back. But that's what they had to do. And then bringing on Bakker, because Jim City went out injured. Bakker, who Gasperini himself said he's not settling in well. Yeah. He wasn't playing well in his natural left wing back position, and he put him in at centre back. And you don't blame the side for conceding 3 goals against Torino, a team that barely score any goals. But that's what happens when you have 2 centre backs that are out of position, and the other one, with due respect to Scalvini, you know how highly I think of him, is a 19-year-old defender that maybe needs some quality by his side.
Yeah, obviously, it's totally the case, and he didn't have it. He had nervous people around him, and Zapata displayed his experience and the fact that maybe he knows Scalvini from his time in training with him. Because in the 9th minute, it was Duvan Zapata who actually forced Scalvini to foul him by letting the ball run between his legs, and Scalvini had to pull him to stop him. And that might have affected Scalvini's performance as well. A yellow card in the 9th minute, that's very early on.
Yeah.
You're not quite yourself when that happens.
No, so you can't commit to challenges.
Their only natural centre-back was on a yellow card, you know. So yeah, this was a disaster waiting to happen for Atalanta all the way around. And even with Scamacca's injury, of course, that's a big presence up front that they were missing. Torino,
they needed this.
They needed this. It was a very good performance, but then finally they got ticking. It seemed like Atalanta tried to almost mirror them man to man, but Torino were just superior in every aspect.
Yeah.
And maybe the fact that they didn't have any midweek as well helped a lot. But they did seem more energetic, more lively, and just straight out the better team. You remember Dembasek?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
You realize he's been missing for a while?
My God, yes.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a situation going on right now, man, Dembasek.
What's wrong with Dembasek?
He's in the midst of a revenge porn scandal, my brother. Yes, like there's some serious incriminating evidence of him threatening a woman like that.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, repeat after me. Dembasek,
bad.
There we go. All right. Torino.
My God, you shocked me, man.
Yeah. Torino are in 10th, of course. I just addressed this. They have overtaken Monza and have 19 points, sitting comfortably mid-table, while Atalanta are in 8th with 20 points. It's still only 2 points off a European place in the Conference League, so it's very much still early days and they're very much alive. But we'll see, because now it's 4 matches in a row without a win for Atalanta, so it's quite a crisis for them.
What's going on in Italy with all these defensive injuries? Injuries all across the board, but Inter defense in shambles. Milan defense in shambles. It's in Milan and Bergamo, dog. In Milan and Bergamo, there's a massive problem with defensive injuries.
Alright, if you have any theories, guys, let us know, because I'm genuinely stumped. Like, I don't know. When I look at the teams who are suffering from injuries, even Juve have
a couple of defensive injuries. In the north.
I would
just keep broadening it.
Yeah.
Like.
In the north.
In the north.
It's sides that play with high intensity, and that's what I always thought was the problem with Milan's injuries. And but you know, at the end of the day, like, there are teams that run more and they don't have as many injuries, you know what I mean? But then they're not playing as frequently as these guys are. So I'm stumped, man. I don't know. Get new medical stuff.
Pussios.
Get a 40-man squad instead of a 30-man squad. I don't know, man.
Well, to be fair, I injured my knee recently, guys, right?
How do you do it? Getting out of bed?
How I injured my knee?
Panties.
I did nothing wrong. It's the way wrong. I was born. My knee faces inwards.
So you've got one of those, like, ugh.
So my knee faces...
That's incredibly unattractive.
That's an ick. That's an ick.
Yeah.
Believe me, I know it's an ick, bro. But you know what's an even bigger ick? Arthritis. No. But when I looked up, like, okay, why is my meniscus, like, hurting, my lateral meniscus? And
I
now
don't even have one of those.
And now my shin is hurting. It's like, arthritis. And I'm like... That is the most unattractive thing you can have, arthritis, I think, as a 26-year-old man.
26, dude.
Just having arthritis, but I don't have it, alright? Don't spread misinformation, guys. I see you.
Matthew from 3 Hour has arthritis.
I don't have arthritis. That's another 3 hour shout out, brother. And it's 2-0 now. It's 2-0.
You're right. When's the next episode of Growing
Next Monday I'm recording.
You have to say
worry.
It 3 times.
3 times.
So it's draw, because I've said the name of the podcast. Or say 4 and we're ahead. Right? There we go.
But anyway, my knee is hurting because it's in the wrong place. So I'm supposed to be doing exercises for it. And like I got this weird treatment done to it. And I just thought of, like, obviously footballers, what they do is... so strenuous.
Of course.
So I understand that they get so many injuries, you know what I mean? But how come in England and all these places there aren't as many injuries as there are in Italy? Why do the Italians get even more injured?
But is that statistically accurate? Because I've seen there are injury crises, of course, happening.
But like Milan every season.
Milan, there's a problem
every
there.
Season.
There's an obvious problem with Milan because it's been since I was a fucking kid. Since I was watching Pato and all those guys. I remember Milan going into Champions League games when I was a kid and like missing 3 of their best players. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's just a thing that happens with me. I don't know if it's the medical stuff. I don't know if it's the training routines. Honestly, I am so stumped when it comes to this because I don't think any Milan fan can answer this question. Zlatan blamed the pitch once, the pitch at Milanello in his book.
Okay.
He said that that's the reason he got injured so many times, and apparently a few of the players was a thing, like they would comment on the pitch at Milanello, the training ground. So I don't know if that's the thing. I mean, if Zlatan's saying that's it, that he was there and he was training, he probably knows more than we do. So maybe that's the answer to that. Man.
He probably yes. Probably he knows a bit more than us. We jump to Sassuolo Roma.
Shall we?
Sassuolo 1, Roma 2.
Before we get into this, shall we address what Mourinho said about Berardi?
Yes.
Oh, that was hilarious, man. He said, if Berardi was my player, I'd have a problem with him. I love him as a footballer, but I hate how he behaves on the pitch. He wins non-existent penalties. He gets players booked with dubious yellows. He's the type of player that I don't like.
Sergio Ramos, Xabi Alonso.
Yeah.
He literally made them get yellow cards to strategically get suspended in the Champions League.
The entire Inter-treble winning team.
The entire Inter-treble winning team. These are... What he's saying, Berardi, is he described...
His favorite
Mourinho
player.
Described Berardi as a Mourinho player over there. As a Mourinho player.
I don't know if this guy is just playing next level mind games or if
Yes,
he's so
bro.
deluded that he has no idea what type of brand of football he promotes and the type of football Roma play when they're kicking people to the ground and Mancini just destroying everyone in his spot.
Mancini's chill, you know.
Yeah, he's a fair player.
Dybala doesn't dive. Dybala never dives.
No, he never.
Dive. No one ever got a dubious yellow card because of Dybala. Never.
Yeah.
But
Drogba never dived.
No, Drogba. You're joking. Really clean player. Now, despite his recent return to fitness, Pellegrini started this game on the bench, replaced by Bove. Smalling and Kumbulla, of course, still injured and therefore replaced by Llorente and Indica at centre-back.
Kumbulla, my lord.
Viti, Obiang and Alvarez were out for Sassuolo, but an expected lineup nonetheless, with Torsvet starting ahead of Bayrami in that attacking midfield role. Mourinho caused some more controversy in the press conference before this match by suggesting he was worried about referee Matteo Marcenaro and the VAR team. Before heading into the game, he's speaking to the press. I'm worried about these guys in the VAR.
They have players like Berardi.
They're just anxious in the press room. Something else after this was Roma were also coming off a 1-1 away draw to Servette in the Europa League on a Thursday night. The pressing stuff there by Roma. However, Matheus Henrique opened the scoring for Sassuolo again. He tapped in after Berardi's scuffed attempt turned into, let's say, an inadvertent assist. Henrique scoring and opening the scoring there in the 25th minute. At halftime, Mourinho made some tactical adjustments. He brought on Azmoun and Christensen, clearly altering the formation to a 3-4-2-1. In the 63rd minute, where Roma were still looking to equalise, Daniel Boloca's studs-up tackle on Paredes led to a yellow card initially, but it was upgraded to a straight red after a VAR review, reducing Sassuolo to 10 men. Paredes is a chill guy. No, Paredes, he never dives, he never
I've never
fouls.
seen Paredes kick the ball directly to the opposition bench. Never in my life.
Madonna.
But remember the series we're watching, what is it, Spurs Till I Die? All or Nothing Spurs, not Spurs Till I Die, All or Nothing Spurs. When Mourinho was the manager, what was that one thing he said about when they get a red card, bro?
Be a cunt! No, is it that?
That's another thing. No, but he said when they go on man down, attack them immediately.
Press
when they're
them
man down,
immediately.
Immediately have to attack them, and they did it, yeah.
I just wanted to say be a cunt. Therefore, after the red card, naturally, they did exactly what Mourinho would have told them during the filming of their movie series. And Dybala equalised from the penalty spot in the 76th minute. He placed the ball into the bottom corner after Christensen was fouled in the box. Christensen did well to win the foul over there. And then, moments later, Christensen scored the winning goal with a shot that took a massive deflection off of Tresoldi and looping over Consigli, giving him no chance. Christensen coming on over there and absolutely changing the game following the red card, naturally.
What a performance by Christensen.
Yeah, he came in, literally, he looked so inspired, man.
I think he's guaranteed a starting spot next game, because you don't come on and play with that much heart and desire and change the game to that effect, to the point that you're winning a penalty and forcing the winning goal, and you go unrewarded. Like, he's definitely going to feature more now.
No, I mean, for sure, someone like that comes in and gives that kind of performance, and he's on that kind of form, then he's going to start, especially when obviously Mourinho has that history with Karsdorp.
Yeah.
But I want to change the conversation a bit to Lukaku. Up top by himself in this game did not look as good as he normally does with the ball to his side.
No, you're right. And this is a theme, huh? This is a theme I'm slowly starting to notice in Italy. If you're a lone striker, you need to be like Victor Osimhen.
Victor Osimhen. If you're anything short of Victor Osimhen, you're gonna struggle.
You need to be a
Vlahovic
freak of nature
Fiorentina.
physically. You need to just be next level. You need to be perfect, flawless, top physical condition, brave, fast, smart, good shot, good with the back towards goal, good in the air. You need to be that type of player. When playing two up top, it takes a lot of pressure off. You have look at Thuram.
Yeah.
Thuram, man. It has Lautaro gets the ball, everyone shifts onto him, freeing up Thuram. You've got the fullbacks advancing, you've got the midfielders running into the box, you've got all this space as a striker, suddenly you're not prioritized, boom. You're scoring regularly, you know what I mean? So yeah, having a partner up top really helps.
Absolutely, especially with the hardcore Italian centre backs that there are as well. It's always good to have reinforcements up top. It can't be a Roma game where we don't highlight the importance of Dybala, because throughout the game, even when Roma were trying to get back into the game, it was Dybala who was shooting from distance. forcing the best out of Consigli. He was the one involving Lukaku and getting the best out of Lukaku, even though Lukaku tended to struggle in this match. What is it with Sassuolo and the self-destruct button, brother? Because is it a Sassuolo game if there isn't a red card? Is it a Sassuolo game where there isn't an own goal? Is it a Sassuolo game where there isn't a massive defensive fuck-up? Talk to me, man. What the hell is it with Sassuolo? To be honest, I thought they started this game quite well. Their press was very effective. They were causing Roma to rush into making certain decisions. And I mean, they held their ground until the 63rd minute, until that red card.
Yes, Sassuolo are victims of having an inexperienced team year in, year out. The oldest player in the team, barring, of course, 36-year-old Consigli, is Berardi, who's 29 years old. And when you look at the midfield, it's always good to have a cool head in midfield, a player with a lot of experience in the league, a Derun type of guy, a Brozovic type of player. Sassuolo have Bolocca, who's playing his first real professional season in Serie A, right? He's 24 years old, not the youngest, okay, but that's an inexperienced player. Playing alongside Enrique, who's 25 years old, another kind of inexperienced player. In front of them, boom, Thorsvedt, 24 years old. You know what I mean? So, and every year they change these profiles. It's not like they grow with the team. They fucking sell players off and bring in new players. So it's like every year Sassuolo have this problem of inexperience in their team. Which, of course, in some games, these guys are brave. These guys get ticking. These guys beat Inter. You know what I mean? They can't turn the tide round and just pull out a performance that inspires the viewers, for example. But most of the time, you're just looking at a team that doesn't have enough experience to kind of close games off. That's the self-destruct button.
The thing is, man, they get you that first goal and they look like they're going to win the game, and then the self-destruct
because they have talent.
They're
They're definitely talented, but they're not experienced.
You see other teams, let's say Empoli, Verona, Lecce, you see these guys that clearly they're good, but that's as far as it goes. Sassuolo can be not spectacular, but Sassuolo can be very, very, very fucking good. They bring the games to their opponents. When they demolish Milan 5-2 last season, when they beat Inter this season, no one else has been able to do it yet. The Robin Hood, the classic Robin Hood, right? But then there's something in them where it's just like, no, self-destruct. Boom. We're not going to do this today.
Yeah. And of course, there are many factors, right? Of course, there's the lack of experience. There's the fact that, again, they have no fans.
It's getting a bit better.
It's getting a bit better, sure. But you look at the footage, bro. The Matchday Stadium, this match against Roma, was all Roma. Bro, we experienced it firsthand, but it's like, don't think that the Sassuolo curva has grown much since we were there.
No.
We were there. We went there with our fucking Sassuolo kits or Sassuolo Inter with Mint, thinking we're going to have a bit of a vibe. Like, there was absolutely no Sassuolo vibe whatsoever. It was all Inter fans.
Every single fan. I have to say, they were a lovely group.
They were nice. They didn't beat
some
us
Inter
up.
fans behind us.
Like when Berardi scored and then we went crazy. They were just laughing and we were like, calma. So they knew.
You remember, like, a pointing at our curva going, look at that, brother.
Look at that. Look what we've got over there. But yeah, it was all Roma. It felt like a home game for them. It doesn't help pile the pressure on their relatively inexperienced midfield, got a red card, and then boom, all of a sudden you're a man down in a game which feels like you're away from home with the fans on your back, and you're against Jose Mourinho, who knows exactly how to take full advantage of the situation.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Classic Roma. They don't look insane, but they can definitely get you a result. And that's what they did here. They currently sit in 4th place, breaking into that Champions League zone, level on points with Napoli, but with a better goal difference to them. Sassuolo, on the other hand, in 15th on 15 points.
We can jump to Lazio 1, Cagliari 0, a game that was marred by individual errors for Cagliari, to be honest with you, because Hatzidiakos' first few minutes were terrible before he was substituted. It was one of the worst displays I've seen so far in the league by someone who was substituted as early as the 32nd minute, in fact. But it was Makumbu actually who changed the outline of the game. He had a professional last man foul on Guendouzi when he pulled him to the ground. It was kind of Chiellini-esque. And I wasn't sure if it was the last man the first time I saw it, but then upon further viewing, the replay clearly showed that he was through on goal. And he was sent off. This was after, of course, Pedro had found the opening goal after Lazzari had squared the ball to him, and he scored in the 8th minute. That red card came in the 27th minute, and till then, and from then on, rather, Lazio managed to see the game out. It was in the 90th minute when Esela Metti Senia Pavoletti was on, but his header was saved by Provedel. Brilliantly.
Yeah, very good save. I actually saw recently Provedel, I believe it was in the Champions League, where he wasn't tested too much and he seemed to lose concentration and he made some rookie errors. But in this game, he really managed to stay focused, even though Cagliari weren't really, they didn't really keep him busy until the 90th minute, and then he still had it in him to pull that save off. So his concentration has definitely improved.
Yeah, and he did have a few good saves this game. It was a game that saw two of the Serie A's most veteran coaches in Ranieri and Sarri. They don't get much older than those two. Felipe Anderson was actually listed to start, but Isaacson started instead of him. Scuffet also had a few good saves for Cagliari, but it wasn't enough. And Lazio managed to see the game through, to be honest, quite easily. Even though Immobile hasn't managed to make it 200 goals in Serie A. He's on 198 currently, and he's very close to hitting that 200 goal mark.
Yeah, I mean he'll get them this season. I'm quite
Probably,
sure.
Probably, right? Yeah, 2 penalties. Yeah, I was impressed by Sulemana. Sulemana had a few good tackles as well into this game. But yeah, not much else to write home about for this one. A pretty straightforward win, and a very important win for Lazio, who had been quite moody. They had been on and off, right? They had 3 winless games in a row with 2 defeats and a draw, but now they have climbed to 9th and are on 20 points, and they're in contention for that Conference League and those Europa League spots as well. Season's still early, of course, as we always discuss, and that 4th spot is only 4 points away from Lazio, so they're right up there for Champions League qualification as well. They're in the running with Bologna, Atalanta, even Torino to a certain extent can make a push for it, you know. But yeah, on the other hand, Cagliari sit in 19th with 10 points, 1 point away from safety in the midst of a relegation dogfight.
Yeah, I mean, a bit more of an exciting game that's coming up. It was Udinese 3, Verona 3. You could call this a relegation dogfight and a derby for the Friuli Venezia Giulia region, as well as Gabriele Cioffi facing his former team, naturally. The injury list for the hosts, Udinese, keeps getting longer, including Bijol, Quina, Delafoe, Brenner, Ebosse, Ezibwe, Semedo, and Keenan Davies, whilst Hellas Verona missed Isaac Hien, Davidovic, Saponara, Magnani, and Bruff. However, Faroni did return from his ban. There were a lot of changes to each lineup in this game, adding to obviously the chaotic nature of a relegation dogfight. Christian Cabasele scored the opener by converting a Lazar Samardzic free kick at the far post, making it 1-0 to Udinese. Lorenzo Lucca doubled Udinese's lead with a good finish after a Pereira cross. It was New Perez who regained possession here for Udinese and restarted the attack after his tackle on Ngonge. It was absolutely fantastic. Verona fought back with a Milan Juric penalty following a Cabasele handball, making it 2-1, and then Verona finally equalised with an insane Cyril Ngonge bicycle kick after Thomas Suslov cross to make it 2-2. That was our goal of the week. However, Udinese and then regained the lead as Lucca got his second goal of the night after a towering header from a Florian Thauvin cross, a brilliant cross by Thauvin and a great finish by Lucca, who looked more like himself in this match, who had raved about him for a while when he was in Serie B. And now he's showing that form all the way up in Serie A. And then Sandy Lovric missed a chance to seal the win for Udinese.
So selfish.
Hitting it wide in an empty net,
Yeah.
to be completely fair to Sandy Lovric.
He had Thuvan open, man.
Yeah.
He had Thuvan open, World Cup winner, of course. You should have played him the ball over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I must say I'm totally impressed by Lorenzo Lucca, 23 years old, of course. Now you can tell his time at Ajax was quite unremarkable. However, he did come back with this broader knowledge of the game, and it's quite clear to see that awareness-wise, he's a very good striker, and positionally, and like the way he flicks the ball onto his teammates, he's got that Ajax kind of mindset instilled. And his first goal was taken so brilliantly, and that second goal, the towering header, was just so good as well.
Yeah. He definitely showed us that in this game. Verona then capitalized from Sandy Lovric's miss in stoppage time after Thomas Henry secured a dramatic draw with a glancing header after a looping Cyril Ngonge cross where Silvestri went out to commit, but Thomas Henry got there first, and we've criticised Henry before for good reason, for both his attitude and his technique. But here he did well to rise to the occasion. He was brave to enter that duel with Silvestri, and he got the better of him over there. And 3-3, and we had won our bet because of that last minute goal, which was absolutely
scenes crazy. Even though we hung in there and we lost it, right, that one.
Yeah.
Because of we had Inter and Napoli to end in a draw.
Yeah.
Napoli-Inter rather, but of course Inter smashed them.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cyril Ngonge ceiling, bro. Do you see him making a big move next season?
I don't see a massive move for Ngonge. In fact, he had a bit of a slower start to this season. One of the points that I wanted to make is he joined Verona in January last year, and I'm not going to say completely turned the season around for them, but he saved them from relegation, and he was clearly their best player alongside Lazovic last season. And now this goal is going to give him the confidence to kind of refigure and recalibrate that form that he had last year. I don't see a massive move. He's definitely not going to join a top 8 team, let's put it that way. But we could see him move to a team that maybe, like a Torino, for example. I see that happening. What do you think?
To be honest, I feel like his next move will be out of Italy, personally. But I
forgot that's a thing.
He's shown good promise, and he is a player of moments, and he definitely has game-changing moments in him, but he also leaves a lot to be desired on certain moments. There was a one-on-one last season where he lazily tried to chip the keeper, and it was fucking dreadful. I'll never forget that. So yeah, with Ngonge it's a bit of a mixed bag, but last match day he did try a bicycle kick and he failed to score. This game he tried the exact same bicycle kick, and this time he got it top bins perfectly.
Yeah, so it was a great goal.
So nice to see he has that in his locker. He's definitely a talented player.
Yeah, and he's playing behind the striker at the moment. We've seen him playing a 2 up top, we've seen him play as a single striker, and we've seen him play out on the right hand side as well. But Suslov is now starting on the right hand side, and at the moment you can't bench Milan Juric, who is on fine form. Okay, it was a penalty that he scored in this game, but even simply when it comes to Verona's goal kicks, I remember watching Milan Verona live last season at San Siro. Every single Montepò goal kick went straight to Juric, and Juric is there laying it down to either Lazovic and Ngonge, or in this case Suslov. And he is a massive asset to the team when he's on. He can look clumsy, he can look like he doesn't belong on a football pitch, but he's looked good this season, and he's carrying hot form.
He's a proper target man, and he's a reference point up front. He can literally hoof the ball upfield to Juric, and 9 times out of 10 he's going to win the aerial duel and knock the ball down to a teammate. He's very useful for a lowly team like Verona, I'll just say that.
Yeah,
I also want to highlight, bro, Martin Paero had a very good game. He had 15 recoveries, the most in this match day. Yeah.
Wow.
So very good performance by him for the Udinese man.
I think at the moment Duda is looking much better than he looked last season. He became a bit of a meme at a point last season after a spell of very average performances. I don't think Lazovic has quite been himself yet this season.
Yeah, not at all. Like he has struggled to even really cement his name, his place into the starting 11. To be honest with you, like he's quite he's not exactly a staple in this team. Every time Suslov gets the ball, I think the commentator is saying Susel, by the way.
And
Suslov,
right
like,
winger
Susel.
as well.
Yeah.
You have to say that Verona, they showed great spirit to obviously equalize so late on. And they only made 2 substitutions because they've got such a decimated squad. They only brought on Bonazzoli and Thomas Henry. Yeah. That's the only substitutions they could make. So you're looking over here at 9 players that weren't substituted. The only ones that were substituted were Juric and Lazovic.
Yeah.
You see 9 of these guys that gave it all for 90 minutes trying to find that goal and trying to get back into this game. So all credit to them. That is how a team should react to being in the situation there and with all those injuries and being down in 18th place. Udinese, on the other hand, I mean, you would think that having the lead so much in the game, being 2-0 up and then being 3-2 up in the latter stages of the game, would mean that they could get it over the line, especially with their Serie A experience and their stable experience in Serie A. But they too have a bit of an identity crisis going on right now. Curious to see what happens to Samardzic with the transfer window coming up, bro.
We'll see. I mean, he was pretty much already a done deal for
Inter.
For Inter, was it Inter or Juve?
Inter
Was okay. Yeah, exactly. Yes, Inter, and he never actually. The deal fell through last minute, so I do see that he's already going one foot out the door, and I do see him making the move. You know, he's got a wonderful left foot, and he's too good to be playing at Verona, quite frankly.
The Udinese.
For Udinese, sorry. Udinese do have a few technically gifted left-footed players, don't they?
Yeah.
And with Success's injury, Luka really took the most out of that chance he was given, because Isaac's Success actually started this game.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do hope that Lorenzo Luka will be starting from now on, because he's a much better player than Isaac's Success when it comes to his technique, when it comes to his goal prowess, when it comes to his aerial ability, everything, to be honest. Isaac's Success has that industry about him. That's
exactly. It. But no, I think Luka's earned himself a starting spot now for Udinese. I think Pereira brought something good with him when he rejoined the team in the latter stages of the transfer market. He was recently a free agent, and then Udinese had a dreadful start. They were like, you know what, you can come back in. And that's like the Zlatan kind of morale boost that he brings to the rest of the team, having that experience and being that caliber of a player within the team. But that's enough for this game. When it comes to Udinese, they're in 16th place on 12 points, only 2 points ahead of Verona, who are in 18th on 10 points.
Yeah, and then there was Bologna 1, Lecce 1, and the first thing that I saw when I flicked this game on was a Lecce fan holding a sign of, I believe it was some kind of rodent wearing a Lecce kit cooking bolognese. So yeah, that was their little jab at Bologna.
Medium rare dig.
Yeah, medium rare dig right there. The former Bologna man Sansone was on the bench. He was replaced by Strefezza, and Beukema and Zergzi started on the bench for Bologna. An interesting move over there with Van Huydink and Lukumi starting instead of them. Bologna haven't won away from home yet this season, despite their fantastic start.
Whoa.
They haven't won. They've held some big teams away from home, but they actually haven't managed a victory away from home, while Lecce are winless in 8 games. So this trend continued for both teams, to be honest, as Lecce didn't win, and of course neither did Bologna. I was watching TSN the other day, and it got an interview with Falcone, who apparently when he was a kid, he was a child actor, and he featured in an Italian movie, right? And they were talking to him and interviewing him, and he said that he likes to be the main character, and sometimes playing as a goalkeeper, he does feel like he's the main character, and that's why he likes it. And boy, was he the main character in this game. So the first goal came in the 68th minute through Lykoggianis, who had a perfect an inch-perfect free kick shortly after coming on. He had been on the pitch for 10 minutes before he stepped up to take this free kick, and he converted it beautifully. Listen, you watch that free kick with classical music playing in the background. It's a joy to watch. And then Falcone ran up the pitch for a corner in the dying moments of the game, which was whipped in. Right, I believe it wasn't a direct corner, like there was a bit of commotion. Falcone stayed up, the ball was squared in. Falcone was about to convert, and Calafiori pulled him to the ground, and Falcone won the penalty. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's the first ever goalkeeper in Serie A to win a penalty for his team. So that's interesting, and I'm sure he enjoyed that, being the main character over there. Roberto Piccoli, the man on fine form for Lecce, stepped up and converted and ran straight to the fans, of course, in celebration. It was a lovely moment over there, and the spoils were shared in this 1-1 draw.
Amazing, huh? Like, the first half, like, I thought that Bologna were really struggling to find that final touch to get them the victory, or to get them the goal. And then the 58th minute, where they realized, like, okay, this is getting quite concerning. Bring on Moro, bring on Freuler, bring on Zirkzee, bring on Lykoggianis, and they turned it up, managed to get a goal in the 68th, and then nothing was working for Lecce. 97th minute, goalkeeper goes up, wins a penalty, and it's converted by Piccoli.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Bologna were definitely punished for their wasteful display of this game. Yes, wasteful nature. But yeah, that's pretty much that game. It's a shame that there was no winner, because I felt like Bologna were going to get their first away win of the season again. But it's nice to see Lecce still fighting for their lives and sitting in 13th with 16 points, while Bologna are all the way up in 7th with 22 points, with their European dream still alive.
Yep. Fiorentina 3, Salernitana 0 is the next game, brother. The Viola were fresh from qualifying for the Conference League knockouts by beating Genk 2-1 on Thursday, with Dodo and Gaetano Castrovilli the only long-term absentees for this team. Pippo Inzaghi's side got their first win of the season against Lazio last week, with Boulaye Dia back on the bench, but Ochoa was still injured, and Norbert Gyomber laid out by flu. Now, Lucas Beltran broke the deadlock by converting a penalty after Melo was brought down in the box, securing his first Serie A goal. Good to see over there, especially we're speaking last week about the dry spell that Fiorentina strikers are on. The Viola nearly doubled their lead when Jonathan Icone's header was deflected, forcing a desperate save from Salernitana's goalkeeper Benoit Costil. However, the standout moment came from Sottil, who unleashed a stunning right-footed curler. The strike clipped both the underside of the crossbar and the inside of the far post, leaving Costil helpless in goal. It was a brilliant goal. We also criticised Sottil a little bit last week. We said that his ceiling is not that high, and that he's been disappointing so far this season when you compare to the ceiling that we initially thought that he had. Salernitana's attempts to rally fell short when Iquemezi's header bounced off of the crossbar early in the second half, and then Fiorentina capitalised on their opponent's missed chances when Bonaventura swept home a low cross by Sottil to extend Fiorentina's lead to 3-0.
His 6th goal of the season, Bonaventura. He's never had a start like this. Fantastic player. Yeah. And he's aged like fine wine. And we do have a listener question actually about him leaving Milan, but we'll save that for either later on this episode or the next one, depending on how the time looks. But yeah, Salernitana definitely left a lot to be desired. Their standout performer was probably their goalkeeper, who pulled off quite a few saves this match day. I can give you the exact number right now. He made 7 saves, which is quite a lot considering, he's conceded 3. Poor guy. Still managed to pull off 7 saves. That's quite a lot. But yeah, Fiorentina blew Salernitana right out of the water.
Yeah, I think so. I think that double pivot midfield that we've praised before of Duncan and Arthur, or for that case sometimes it's Mandragora and Arthur. I think Arthur has found his place in Italian football. No, it wasn't when he was at Juve. It wasn't maybe when he was at Barcelona all the way in Spain. I think Arthur at the moment is playing the best football that he's played ever at Fiorentina.
Yeah, and he was viewed as a joke, as almost a money laundering scheme, to be honest, as part of the Pjanic deal. But But nice to see that he's settled so well with Vincenzo Italiano. He's a pivotal part of this team.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, I want to highlight the performance of Sottil, who grabbed a goal and an assist in this game, proving this area spotlight doubters wrong. Look, when he's on, he's on. He looks good. It's just that he's barely ever.
Yeah, he's wildly inconsistent and often a bit selfish at times. Often leaves a lot to be desired technically as well.
Yeah. Nico Gonzalez didn't feature in this match, which pissed me off because I have him on fantasy football.
But is he injured? Did he have a knock or something?
There's no mention of his
no, he
injury.
was on the bench.
On the
though,
bench.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
he was
right.
carrying something light and they didn't want to risk him. Barak, bro, Barak. He's a good player, man, and we're just not seeing any of him whatsoever.
It's strange. He hasn't been doing well at Fiorentina, to be honest. He was a beast at Hellas Verona.
He needs a move now.
Yeah, honestly. Sometimes it just doesn't work for you and you need a slight step down, I think, or a sideways move to try to rejuvenate your career. But it's not working for him with Italiano, definitely.
Yeah. I think Icone is slowly starting to be reintroduced to the squad out on the right-hand side. He looked better today. He was way more involved, back to being that direct right winger that we're used to seeing. Look, when it comes to Salernitana, I can't really say much. I think they had spirit and it pretty much ends there. They were always looking for a goal, no matter what state they were in this match. But I mean, that's as far as it goes, unfortunately. This team is lacking a lot of quality. The only quality that you could see out of these 11 players is probably that of Kandreva when Dia isn't on the pitch, man.
Yeah, and he's one of the players who's heavily criticized by the Salernitana faithful for not actually, pressing and working as hard as he should be. But you have to remember that at the end of the day, he's a veteran player, right? He doesn't have the energy. He can't be pressing, of course, like everyone else. He's 36 years old. So they should just be grateful, of course, that he's there. Maybe reinforce his position so he doesn't have to be a staple, every single game. So you give him some competition. You can bring him off the bench as an impact substitute, for example, or just take him out early if the game's going on a bit too fast for him. But as we know, Kandreva's a man of spectacular moments, and obviously he's going to be playing.
Yeah.
Regardless of how old he is or who he's playing with.
Or whether he's pressing or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Last week we said Bologna will finish above Fiorentina. Fiorentina are in 6th, 1 point ahead of Bologna on 23 points, while Salernitana sit dead last on just 8 points, brother.
Oof, yeah, not a good start for them at all, even though they had been playing a little bit better under Inzaghi. Now, we can move on to the final game, I believe. This is the last one,
sir.
right? Genoa 1, Empoli 1. Another interesting game. Bani, Strutman and Goodmanson were out for Genoa. Now, this is very important when you think about it, because you have Bani and Strutman who give you a lot of experience, and Goodmanson who's their top scorer. And then you look at Retegui, who's just come back from an injury as well, playing. They had Vogliaccio stepping in as centre-back, by the way.
Okay.
Messias made his first full debut, which just highlights the extent of the injuries that Genoa have had. Like, they brought in a player like Messias, and he hasn't actually started the game up until now.
Yeah, he was injured in pre-season,
Exactly, he didn't arrive in top condition. And he had a fantastic game, Messias. The first half, he was brilliant. The second half, he was tired, and this is a theme this season which really highlights Genoa's lack of depth. The fact that they really struggle in second halves, and their second halves are pretty much unwatchable. They're so good in the first, and they start off so early, and they really push, man. Early on, they shot in the first minute this match, and the game was open from the get-go. You have Cambiaghi missing a one-on-one early on. Then in the 32nd minute, Messias hit the crossbar. It was the 9th time Genoa had been denied by the post. That's second after Frosinone in Serie A so far, who have been denied 10 times by the post. Yeah. Malinovskyi got a fantastic goal. He scored in the 37th minute. That was his 17th goal from outside the area since his Serie A debut. Fantastic
Madonna.
over there. And then in the second half, there was a double whammy by Empoli, who removed Fazzini and brought on Kovalenko, and then brought on Cancellieri as well. And funnily enough, the equalizer was set up by Kovalenko to Cancellieri, who had just come on. And he scored his second ever Serie A goal, his first one coming, of course, with Hellas Verona. One thing I did notice this game is that Vasquez is always bleeding. Always. He's always bleeding from somewhere. He's a very aggressive and physical centre-back. Quite fun to watch, to be honest with you. Haps almost scored at one point. His awkward effort went just off target. And Haps is having a pretty good season. I think one of the best I've seen from him so far, to be honest. I'm always impressed by Dragusin's ball-playing ability. He's a very capable player with the ball at his feet. He whipped in a Pichov across to Retegui at one point. Retegui should have crossed it across, should have squared it across the face of goal, but instead he went for goal himself and looped the ball over the target. At the end of the game, there was a serious huddle by Genoa, as there are concerns that they are dropping closer and being pulled into this relegation dogfight. However, their support is great. They have very positive fans who were chanting and singing as though they won the game. Yeah. But this second half team for Genoa was a massive problem, and they do need to improve their depth. They do have a pretty good team, which is a shame. It's just that when injuries hit them, they don't have anyone to step in. Like Ekuban and Puskas leave a lot to be desired.
With these teams, you typically see a large reason as to why they survive is because of their experienced acquisitions in January, where they get those the Rincon kind of signings. You know what I mean? They bring on some experience.
Of course, and we'll see what they can do. I'm sure that their owners will definitely improve the team. Did you know that Genoa's president, Alberto Zangrillo, was Berlusconi's doctor?
Whoa, what?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Very interesting.
But yeah, interesting, definitely interesting over there. But anyway, we can close things off. Genoa are in 14th place with 15 points, while Empoli are in 17th place with 11 points, 1 point from the drop as it stands. Guys, before we end this episode, we're gonna hand over to one of our patrons, Matthias, who has incredible ball knowledge and has a lot to say about Bologna and their season so far, and I think it will be an interesting listen. I listened to it in the car in traffic, and it definitely helped my journey from work to my house, which was great. Regarding the question segment, we'll be doing that as we did last episode. We'll be releasing a mini episode, kind of more laid back episode, if that's even possible, and it'll probably come out in 2 days.
Yeah, something like that.
Because tomorrow I've got my Christmas party.
Oh,
yes.
I've got drinks tomorrow as well.
Okay. So we can make a hungover episode on Saturday morning.
Exactly. Yeah, we might.
That's good.
Have a beer as well. Fuck it.
So over to you, Matthias.
Hello guys, Matthias here. I have some thoughts which I wanted to send to you about Bologna, but I'm going to start off by just saying with a voice note that I want to congratulate you on the 100th episode. I didn't have the chance to read in my message, so I sent it to you by text, and I want to sort of I want to just say that I really support you, and I think that you're doing a great job. I listened to you last week when you talked about Bologna Torino, and I thought you had a lot of interesting things to say about Bologna, and I really find Bologna to be one of the more sort of intriguing sides of this season. And obviously, since they are in 5th, 6th, and no one really thought that they would perform this well during this autumn, I'm guessing that everyone is trying to figure out what's going on with them. Why are they so good? And these are like my 2 cents on it, and I really would like to hear what you think about it. I find it very sort of striking that Bologna are so good at controlling the tempo of the game, and also sort of controlling what type of matchup they get with a lot of teams by holding on to possession with their 3-man midfield with Abisher, and it was Fabian against Torino, but you also have Ferguson, of course, and some other possible pieces there as well. And I think they're especially good at doing this against the 3-4-3 sides, who tend to want to sort of counter or in different ways expose teams by attacking on the wings, and therefore are sort of a bit too, allowing for teams like Bologna to control the tempo. And I think Bologna is really good at sort of stopping this by holding on to the ball, by not letting go of the ball too easily, since they are sort of not challenged centrally in the field. And I think that there is that's sort of the reason why they have been so good and not lost many games at all this fall. And the only teams which they have actually lost against are, of course, Milan in the first fixture and then Fiorentina away. And I don't think it's a coincidence that these two teams also have really good sort of solid central midfields who can actually sort of win the ball from Bologna or actually challenge them possession-wise and sort of, we'd say, like, grab the tool from them and twist it out of their hand. And I think that's sort of the key thing to do if you want to beat Bologna as well. And I think you could see that a little bit in the game against Lecce this match day, because I felt that Lecce sort of tried to hold on to more of the possession, and you could see Bologna becoming a bit more stressed by that and playing the ball a bit too quick. And I think one of the good things, I mean, having this sort of like possession-based play as a defensive way of approaching the game, by not letting the other team have the ball, is of course kind of like basic. But I think what Bologna really gets out of this is that they have three really good offensive players who can do a lot on their own. Orsolini, of course, everyone has known about him for years. I don't think he's good enough to play in a top 4 side because he tends to do a lot of things on his own. But in this type of environment where Motta has sort of let him be like a maverick on the wing and use that to his advantage, I think they've done this. He suits perfectly. As well as Ferguson, who is of course a very sort of underrated but very physical and can really help Bologna in different ways. But of course also Xerxes, the phenom of this year, I would say. He's been really good. He's been getting a lot of points, of course. And one of the things which I've also sort of noticed with him, and I want to hear your thoughts on, is that I think it's a bit unappreciated how good he is on the edge of the box. Because, of course, he's a number 9 and he's quick and he's strong and he's good on finishing. But he does a lot of things just outside of the penalty area, where he gets defenders reluctant on how to position themselves. Should they go for him and attack him, or should they be resting a little bit? And if he gets those like 2 or 3 seconds to sort of like pick a place where to place the ball in the net, or we'll have a really good pass, he's really decisive and he's good at sort of taking the right decision and making kind of easy plays, but making the right plays. And I think he does this really good, and I think it's sort of reminiscent of Harry Kane, and I haven't seen anyone make this comparison, so therefore I'm like throwing it out there, that I think he's a bit similar in that sense. And of course it's a little bit, you can probably find other Dutch forwards who are really good at this sort of fitting between the lines between a 9 and a 10. But I think he could be useful as a sort of backup to a Harry Kane-esque attacker. And it's a bit interesting because I read somewhere that Bayern Munich has a buyback clause on him for like 20 to 25 million euros. This was something which was only written about when he was sold to Bologna. So this buyback clause could have been temporary, that it is run out, but it's also kind of interesting. I also think he does one thing, and I saw this primarily against Torino, so I'm not sure if he does this every game, but I think he's good at, when you play against sort of this 3-line defense with man marking, obviously the defending coach or the other coach against Bologna is going to try to put his best defenders on Xerxes. And against Torino, you could see that Buongiorno was actually handling him pretty well. But from time to time, and especially on his goal, where I don't really know what Buongiorno was doing, I think that Xerxes is sort of good at like mismatching the attack against the defense, finding a weaker defender and sort of seeking him up and trying to get him to try to defend him instead. And I think this could be like an interesting notion, because man marking has come back a lot during the last 10 years, and this could be an interesting way for a new generation of forwards to deal with that. Perhaps sort of like some type of more basketball-esque way of switching positions and trying to sort of put yourself against a defender who might fit your style of attacking better, or worse from his perspective, but better. And I think Xerxes has that sort of intelligence, but of course he's in a extremely good form right now, so everything is going well for him. I think Bologna are going to be challenging for the European spots throughout the season. I don't see them sort of losing anyone in this winter transfer. I don't think anyone is going to buy Xerxes at this point. Perhaps Ferguson, since he has comes from the British Isles, and of course he's going to be attractive to mid-table Premier League teams. But I don't think he needs to make that move right now. I think it would benefit him to wait till at least this summer. The one thing which could sort of hurt them is if teams do what Lecce did and do what other teams can do, and that is sort of try to play ball with them in the middle, not try to be reluctant and wait them out and then counter on them, but really try to sort of challenge the game centrally. Because even though they have gotten a lot out of this three-man midfield, I don't think it is impossible to sort of find better ways, to make a player like Aebischer look bad in that sense. He's a good, smart midfielder, but I don't think he's top 10 when it comes to registas in Serie A. And I think you could sort of, if you can find the tactical matchup where you get regista versus regista, I think a lot of teams have the opportunity to make them suffer in this way. Okay, guys, so I'd really just like to hear your thoughts on this, and thank you for everything, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much, Matthias. It's always great hearing from you. It's always great hearing from all of our patrons and all of our followers. Thank you very much for wishing us well as well. What I found most interesting about what you said were the comparisons between Xerxes and a player like Harry Kane. I would go so far as to also roping Karim Benzema into the mix, and kind of these strikers that have an eye for an assist, and they don't shy away from dropping a little bit more back and allow the wingers to be a bit more inverted and a little bit more attacking. And yeah, so good with his back towards goal as well. Such an intelligent player. He's got eyes all around his body. I also think that, yes, Bologna's midfield has been one of their strongest points this season. And should you really attack that and you stop the source of this machine, then that's where they can struggle. It's the same way if you attack Lobotka and you stop Lobotka's supply, and last season if you stop Brozovic's supply and you stop Benasser's supply, that's where the team can struggle. Now, because like you said, Aebischer isn't of the toppest quality, then it might be a little bit easier to do that. And having three Lecce midfielders pressing and pressing and pressing in that midfield department, that is what could cause problems essentially for them.
Yes, and not to mention that I think their midfield hasn't even peaked yet, because they have Freuler, who's been coming off the bench, who I believe is probably their best actual regista, so I think that once he really gets in tune with the rest of the team, they'll actually be better than they are. But that also demonstrates good depth in midfield, and that really is the core as to their entire playing style. They like to control games in the midfield, and I feel like Freuler would really help them to do that at an even higher level. As per the comparison to Kane, I like it. I do think it's accurate. I think that Xerxes is like a diluted, less prolific version of Kane with maxed out technique.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Harry Kane has the technique that Xerxes has, but then I don't think Xerxes has the goal scoring prowess that Harry Kane has. Harry Kane is also capable of dropping deeper and finding wingers pinging the balls over the top. I haven't seen Xerxes doing that though. Of course, Xerxes got a long way to go. He's still at the start of his career, while Kane has pretty much demonstrated what he can do on the biggest stages of world football.
Yeah, I think it's more the role that they play in the attacking role that he's referring to than the quality.
Yeah, exactly, and it's his ability, like he said, Matthias put perfectly, to kind of play on the edge of the area, invite defenders to pressure him, and he calmly punishes them with a simple ball or simply placing the ball into the back of the net.
Like his goal against Inter, he's got three massive centre-backs attacking him, and he so calmly just backs off away from them and finishes into the bottom corner, leaving a keeper like Sommer rooted to the spot. There are a few strikers that can do that. We're talking about lone strikers in Serie A and how good you have to be to perform well as a lone striker. Xerxes is one of them, clearly, no?
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. Thank you, Matthias, for your voice note. You can catch us in 2 days for the question episode. And until then, may the Lord bless you.
And may the devil stay the fuck away from you.
This is Serie A Spotlight.
If you like Serie A or have ever liked it in the past, it's a good opportunity for you to listen once a week and you'll get filled in.
In the football weekend, that's like the main dish. But then a few days later, you drop your episode and that's like the dessert. And the dessert is just perfect.
It's good, the cake.
It makes it feel like we're all sitting in a room together, just BSing with each other.
The atmosphere is fantastic.
I promise nobody will ask you to send boob pics.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
I love how you go into so much detail and show so much passion towards each and every team. Literally, no team is left undiscussed.
When I listen to you, it's like I'm talking to you in a pub. It's like I'm chatting to a friend and you're chatting to me.